Hi! Today we are on, vlog 7, and we are discussing chapter 5 in the Rhetorical Act and chapter 4 in reading pop culture. So once again, we're going to start off with the Rhetorical Act to chapter 5, the resources of argument, and we're going to go through those and explain. So there are claims. That is your main argument. It is your claim. It is your assertion. It is, I'm going to talk about this. Bam. You need that in a good argument. Then you got your reasons, which are your warrants, and they help you formulate your argument. And then there's the issue, which is the fundamental idea that you are questioning and making a decision on and choosing, are you for it? Are you against it? That is the issue. Yes. What else? Oh, and then we got invention, which talks about how arguments don't just come out of thin air. You can't just really make them from scratch. You have to take the different things that you get out of your your studying, your reading, your exploitation of resources, exploration of resources, not exploitation. And this is what you're going to take, and then you create your argument off of what facts that you already have. And you invent it through that. And then there's, it's either enthymemes or enthymemes. Enthymemes. That's what we're going with. Then there's enthymemes, which they say is the hardest to explain. But it's a very emotional thing, as in, like, thomos means heart in Greek. And so enthymemes, there's a lot of emotion there. So it's feelings that come from identifying with another person and being able to see their emotions and feel their emotions with them, to see the evidence of the emotions in another. So yeah, that's a big part of it, the enthymemes. And we got chapter 5. And now we're going to go into chapter 4, which we're going to start with Elevate My Mind, Identities for Women in Hip-Hop Songs by Pamela Hollander. And I actually found this article very interesting. I really enjoyed reading it. I took a lot of notes on it when I first read it. Like, you should see my notebook. But it talks about kind of 3 main categories. One is discourse, which is like the communication, and it's kind of hard to describe. Like, I actually had to Google discourse and, like, its definition, like, multiple times throughout this reading to fully get it, because you can't really replace it with another word. You have to replace it with, like, a phrase. And so discourse is like the conversation and communication that you're having between people. And it's something that if enough people use the same type of discourse, it can change the way people think and identify and the language that they use. And so when rap came out, it was a new type of discourse. It was a new way that people were communicating their feelings, what they're going through, what they had to go through in the past. And a lot of people resonated with it. But let's see this. Actually, let's talk about that one little more second. So there's conscious and conscience rap, and this is a type of discourse that explores intellectual and political views and issues, and they put this in their songs to get people thinking about it and to get people to realize that these are actual problems that need to change, which I think is awesome. So now we're going to get to the main part of identities for women in hip-hop love songs. And so in hip-hop, women fall into 4 categories. There's the queen mother, there's the fly girl, there's the sister with attitude, and then there's the lesbian, which I do not like these categories. These categories sound terrible. Besides maybe queen mother, but who doesn't want to be a queen? But basically, women in hip-hop have had to imitate men to be accepted, and then they try to introduce their own style, and it kind of created these 4 categories. I feel like lesbian, they just didn't. That's when they imitated men too much, or that was just from when women still weren't accepted and lesbians definitely weren't accepted. So it was just, that was their own category. But so we're going to talk about love in rap. And so what this author found by looking at a bunch of different songs was that they mentioned Ride or Die a lot, and how men can't really show too much emotion without it looking weak, and yeah. And then the third one is that most women actually talk about what they want in love, but not what they actually have, or that they actually have love, which really sucks. But so Ride or Die is, you're by their side, you'll take a bullet for them, you'll be there in tough times. Like if your boy goes to jail, you're gonna wait until he gets out. And so that's like when singers say like, oh, she's my ride or die. But so it's not actually love, it's just I care about him, so I'm gonna look out for him, but you can do that as a friend as well. And I did find it really interesting how men can't show love as like sensitivity and weakness, or like if they do show love, it tends to come out that way, and then it could almost ruin a career for someone, unless like somehow gets really popular with women or something. I don't know. But and then the last one was that girls don't really talk about the love that they are receiving. They're talking about the love that they want and that they hope for. And so it'll be like, hold me close to you, don't break my heart, like adore me, in essence, raise my self-esteem. But then also there's like, women want an intellectual like relationship, and they want to connect on an intellectual level. So if they have a friend but they feel physically attracted to them, they sometimes are worried more about losing that intellectual connection than like, they don't want to lose that friendship just because it gets physical. And to end that, it's love isn't dominant in hip-hop, and it does give an interesting view of how men and women interact with one another and how they like to portray themselves in rap and hip-hop. Our second article, Country Music by Will Wilkinson. So this guy talked about how country music is upbeat and conventional, And he talked about the two differences between liberal and conservative, where liberal is open-minded and curious, while conservative is orderly, conventional, organized. So I said that country music is conventional, and also being a conservative is conventional. So definitely country music is a conservative mindset. And a lot of country songs are talking about, oh, like once I was a girl with a mama and now I'm a mama with a girl. And so it's like life is repeating itself, and that brings them joy. And it's a very emotional, it's meaningful. It's very meaningful. But those who have like a high openness, that are liberal see this as maybe like, oh, it's nostalgia. But those that have low openness and are conservative, this is their baseline emotional tone of a recognizably decent life. And so they don't want anything different. They just want this decent life that they had, and they want to give it to their kids and have it be the exact same. So country music goes a lot against cultural change, because cultural change, a lot of things in like hip hop are saying like, I had a bad childhood, so I'm going to work hard to not let my kids have a childhood like mine. But country music is a lot like, I love my childhood, my parents cared about me, I rode on my rocking horse, and I want my kids to do the exact same thing. So that's country music. Next, we're going to go on to Leslie Anderson's article, which is called Seduced by Perfect Pitch, How Auto-Tune Conquered Pop Music, which sounds like an overstatement, but it really isn't if you read the article. And so she starts off by talking about Kesha, who is someone who's a little more current than like T-Pain and Cher, but all three of them, whether they have a good voice or not, I honestly don't know at this point, because there's so much auto-tune. They use it so much, and they use it to the max. They put it on the highest setting, and it sounds like a robot. But almost everyone uses it. T-Pain, Kanye, Madonna, Lady Gaga, Maroon 5, which I was surprised to hear Maroon 5. But now I'm like, it's really good, so maybe. But some of these people that aren't like T-Pain or Cher, they use it at a moderate level to just fix the notes and make it sound natural, while Kesha and T-Pain and Cher are doing it for effect. And before auto-tune, there was vocoder and talkbox, which one of them you had to like hook up a tube to your mouth. You'd hook up a tube to your mouth, and apparently it got really spitty. So that's kind of gross, but I mean, I don't know. And then finally, Jay-Z said, stop it. We need to raise awareness. This stuff is terrible. It's corrupting music. There were some protests, but it was way too late. Everyone was using it, and the worst thing is that you can use auto-tune live, so you have no idea if that artist is tricking you. So there was a lot of talk about 2010. Taylor Swift did a duet, and they kept saying that her earpiece was off or something, but really people are thinking that the auto-tune wasn't working because she sounded absolutely tone deaf. And I was surprised by this. I mean, I don't like Taylor Swift, which I know is bad. People will hate me, but I don't like Taylor Swift, but I thought she was at least not completely tone deaf. So I don't know how many artists are lying to us. Anyways, let's see, what's her name? Leslie Anderson talked to Dr. Andy Hildebrand, who actually created this algorithm of auto-tune, which originally was used to find where to drill for oil drilling companies, which is very interesting how it can almost without too much change be related to music. But so when the author asks the creator of autotune, like, what do you think about these people that are using it way more than they should? And he stated, I just make the car, I don't drive it down the wrong side of the road. Saying that he does not approve of what people are doing, but there's nothing he can do about it, and he's not doing it. He didn't cause people to drive down the wrong side of the road. There is another one that's currently out that's very similar to autotune. The competitor is called Melodyne, and apparently it sounds a lot more natural. But autotune is something that's very easy to just set it and forget it. So you don't have to think about, is it gonna mess up? Is it gonna think I'm singing in a different level? And then it kind of ended with a bunch of stories where they talk to producers, and a lot of people come into the producing studios and they say they want autotune. And a lot of people are kind of against it because it's used so much. And sometimes it's the imperfections in the singing that make it realistic and that make it good. And people seem to be using autotune as a safety blanket, even for those few notes that every once in a while you'll get wrong. Well, not wrong, where your voice will crack or something, but it's just a safety blanket. Yeah. And so now we're on to Riffs of Passage by Tina Vasquez. And this was very interesting because on San Jose State, there's a lot of, like, I'm an undocumented staff member, like, posts on offices, and we have, like, a safe area. So it's really interesting because in this girl and her friend, they meet and they bond over music that are headed by feminists, and it's great, but they're kind of different in that the author is an American citizen and the friend, Julio Salgado, is an undocumented Latino. And so they listen to La Santa Cecilia and Las Cafeteras, and at first they felt like they couldn't find people to represent Los Angeles Latinos, but these two bands did a good job of doing it, and they really enjoyed them, and it just made the community that much stronger. So apparently there's a lot of undocumented people in Los Angeles, and there were actually a lot of undocumented people in these bands, but they were able to express themselves through music and get their feelings across, which is awesome. But it was interesting how these two groups could represent the community so well when one of them talked about love and dreams, which is Santa Cecilia, and then Las Cafeteras was very political and talked about feminism, gender equality, communication struggles, and successes with music. But then there was one thing that the story really left me with that I thought was amazing, actually. So when when Julio couldn't pay his tuition, he like called on the community and they helped him raise money by selling tickets to a private concert of La Santa Cecilia. And they even they played in Julio's like family's living room with a bunch of couches pushed aside for him, and he was able to pay his tuition, which I thought was awesome because you don't hear too many of those like good stories anymore. It's all just criticism and whoever's dating who this week. Like, there's no good stories anymore, and that was a good story, and that left me on a really good note. And I'm gonna leave you on that really good note. So, yeah. Have a great day. Thank you for listening.